16-year-old Lauren Juma had just made the Nimitz High School cheerleading team and had dreams of joining her older sister in the U.S. Air Force after graduation. In the early morning hours of Friday, April 29th, Harris County Precinct deputy constables were alerted by Lauren's sister, who called and said her mother's boyfriend was holding her 16-year-old sister captive inside their home on the 2400 block of Canton Trace in Humboldt, Texas. Now, this crime was senseless. No one seen it coming. The mom was away on a work trip, and so it was just Lauren and the suspect in the home. And according to people who knew them and a niece, Lauren's mom had been with the suspect for 5 years, and he didn't have a abusive background or anything that would indicate what he did. So it just seems like it just came out of the nowhere. And so, as you'll see in the clips that that precedes this, that just there's not much information about the suspect or why he would do such a heinous crime, and especially to a child that his niece said that he cared for, that he loved. But you don't know if maybe there was some kind of secret affection for her, or he was lusting after her. In many stories, when you hear about a crime like this, sometimes that's the case. And they also said that when the police came to the home and the suspect came out of the home after killing Lauren, that he was pulling his pants up, and that Lauren's pants was, her pants and underwear was down. And so, yeah, more than likely he sexually assaulted her as well. So I will go ahead and let you view the clips, and then I will come back with more comments.
Now, live outside where this tragedy took place is KPRC2's Rochelle Turner. And Rochelle, you spoke with the teen's mother today.
Keith, over the phone, Lauren's mother was too distraught and upset to talk about what happened, but she told me that her daughter was loved by many and she's already missed. Just outside Lauren's home, you can see people, friends and neighbors dropping off flowers, balloons and cards. Many tell me that her death is tragic.
Right next door, that happened a few feet away from me. It's crazy.
Mondale Madison lives next door to this home on Canton Trace in Humboldt, where loved ones have placed balloons, posters, and flowers of 16-year-old Lauren Juma. It's a much different view from early this morning. The home turned into a crime scene after deputies found Lauren inside. She had been shot multiple times. Mondale was friends with Lauren and shocked when he heard the news.
Yeah, I met her in the 7th grade. When she first moved here, we was all cool. We used to play basketball, you know what I mean? Outside, used to just chill. But she was cool. She nice, very loving,
Investigators say Juma's sister called police to alert them and let them know that Lauren was being held captive at gunpoint by her mother's boyfriend, identified as 60-year-old Dan Brisbane.
I didn't know him. I seen him. He always used to have the garage open. He used to just stare out, I ain't think nothing about him.
Lauren was a junior at Nimitz High School and a cheerleader. She had aspirations to be a police officer or go into the military. Those who knew Lauren already miss her and want answers about her tragic death.
It's just devastating. It's unreal.
In a statement, Aldine ISD said our community mourns her passing. Our thoughts and prayers are with her family, loved ones, and friends during this difficult time. As you can see, this growing makeshift memorial for Lauren continues to grow. Many neighbors, friends, and family coming out here to show just how much they love and already miss her. As for Brisbane, he's been charged with murder, and the family tells me they have set up a GoFundMe page to help with funeral expenses.
Yeah, and family members are absolutely heartbroken. I spoke with the 16-year-old victim's father, and he tells me his daughter attended Nimitz High School. He says that she was a good kid, a great sister. He says that she had big aspirations, that she wanted to be a police officer or join the military. And he says that he wants answers. He wants to know what happened inside of that home. Now, Sajjad Juma shared a photo with us. He says that this is his 16-year-old daughter. He identified the victim as 16-year-old Lauren Juma. Now, since early this morning, investigators were going in and out of the home, which was a crime scene on Canton Trace Lane. Now, investigators say that around 1 o'clock this morning, it was the victim's older sister who called 911 to alert them and let them know that her 16-year-old sister was being held captive at gunpoint inside of the house by her mother's boyfriend.
Constables went route to the scene. When they arrived, approaching the residence, they heard one gunshot coming from inside the residence, heard screaming, and then a second gunshot shortly thereafter. Almost immediately, a male exited the residence and basically stated, "Y'all do what you have to do."
Now, detectives say that when they went inside of that house, they found the 16-year-old had been shot multiple times. Since then, investigators have identified the suspect as 60-year-old, Dan Brisbane. He's been charged with murder. Investigators say that the teenager and the suspect were the only two inside of the house at the time. They tell us the mother was out of town but has since returned. Now, in the meantime, deputies tell us that Brisbane, the suspect, has not been cooperative. Again, he has been charged with murder, currently being held in the Harris County Jail.
Well, that suspect has been charged with murder. Deputies say he was arrested after surrendering himself at the scene. Now, tonight, a balloon release was held in honor of that 16-year-old. Lauren Juma was a sophomore at Nimitz High School. Her family says she just joined the cheer squad. Tragically, deputies say she lost her life at the hands of her mother's boyfriend, 60-year-old Van Brisbane. Investigators tell us Lauren's older sister called 911 around 1 o'clock this morning, saying Brisbane was holding Lauren against her will at gunpoint inside the home. When deputies arrived, they heard one gunshot, screaming, and then a second gunshot. At tonight's vigil, many of Lauren's family and friends gathered to remember the young girl.
It was a short notice, but Lauren, her spirits brought everybody together. She was so loved. She was a wonderful little girl. And obviously with the huge turnout, it was something so small, just us neighbors, and then it's like everybody came.
Earlier today, we spoke to Lauren's family. Her sister was at the home when the shooting happened, but Lauren's mother was at work in Austin.
I just know my baby called me on the phone, FaceTime me, and she said, "Mom, help me." And by that time, he hung her phone up. And that's the last time I heard her voice. And I was there for about 3 minutes before I heard 2 gunshots go off. And I could just remember running up to the house and the officers telling me to go back to my car.
Brisbane is being held here at the Harris County Sheriff's Office, but detectives say he's not cooperating. Lauren's mother, who spent 5 years by his side, says he had no reason to take her baby's life.
Right, the family's still trying to wrap their heads around the fact that she was killed and how she was so brutally taken away.
My daughter was a very wonderful, caring person. She was very friendly, nice, and she had her friends. Everybody loved her.
A teen's life violently taken away by someone family says she trusted. This once quiet, humble neighborhood still in shock by a shooting that took the life of 16-year-old Lauren Juma, a student at Nimitz High School.
He does not need to be let go or set free because that a monster like that would kill an innocent little girl that he was in her life, that she trusted for years.
This man is now in custody facing a murder charge, the victim's mother's boyfriend. The suspect, 6-year-old Van Brisbane, came out of the house, according to police, telling them to do what they had to do. Police say the teen was on the phone with her mother just before the shooting. We're told Lauren's older sister was the one who called 911 this morning, telling them that Lauren was being held at gunpoint by her mother's boyfriend. The mother out of town for work, arriving back home to her daughter dead.
Death is too good for him. When he walked outside and said do what you gotta do, he was looking for death. It is too good for him. He needs to rot in prison.
Police say as deputies were arriving to the home, they heard the gunshots as they were approaching the front door. Neighbors speaking with Fox 26 saying they're rattled by the death, saying it's going to forever change the neighborhood.
This was a good neighborhood, quiet. We don't have crime. So now when you look us up, the only crime you have is a murder, and it's a child.
She was like, Dad, I'm going to give me a job, and that's what she did, and I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to get my own car. That's what she recently did.
Van Brisbane is charged in the death of Nimitz High School sophomore Lauren Juma. And tonight, we're learning more disturbing details about the crime following Brisbane's court appearance today. Aniele Ruiz is here to walk us through what happened. Aniele, we understand there could even be some changes to his charges.
That's right. It all depends on the evidence that investigators gather. But we do know that so far, as of today, his bond was increased from $1 million to $2 million. It was an emotional hearing for family members of 16-year-old Lauren Juma and also for family members of her alleged killer. Monday morning was 60-year-old Van Brisbane's first court appearance after he was charged with murdering Lauren.
I love my uncle to death. I swear I do. But I will never be able to understand how he did something like this to Lauren.
That was Brisbane's niece. She was wailing inside the courtroom during his hearing, and a bailiff had to ask her to step outside. But the details of this case were very graphic to hear. Prosecutors said on Friday Juma was found dead with her clothes in disarray. They go on to say that Brisbane was seen pulling up and adjusting his pants while coming out of their home after 2 shots were heard. Investigators say Lauren was on the phone with her mom and her sister prior to her death and said she woke up to Brisbane standing in the dark room acting weird. Prosecutors asking for a higher bond amount.
Asked for $2 million. And the judge granted that? Judge granted it.
One thing his family made very clear, even though they're his blood relatives, they're supporting Lauren and her family.
People have to be accountable for their actions. If we don't hold people accountable for the things that they do wrong, then people will continue to do wrong.
His niece had this shirt made that says, "Here for Lauren," and she doesn't know how this could have happened.
How he could take her life from her, I can never understand why.
Young says there were no previous issues in their 5 years together. The older daughter said Brisbane had been weird before. Further details from court records say the teen told her mom in her call that Brisbane was standing inside her room in the dark and wanted her to tell him to get out. Lauren then screamed that he had a gun. She was a bright light for her family, a cheerleader at Nimitz High School with dreams.
She had a bright future ahead of her, and she was going to go to the United States Air Force once she graduated.
Tonight, that's all gone.
I hope he gets death. He deserves it. There is no way she shouldn't have been taken.
I'm back. Forgive my voice. I'm a little under the weather, but wanted to get this story out. Now, as you can see in the clippings, that there was one thing I wanted to make a correction of. In the intro, I had said that the suspect didn't have any previous weird behavior or mental issues. But as we can see in the clip, they said that the sister said that he had been acting weird before. And so then that kind of boggles me, because I don't want to victim shame. I don't want to shame the mother. She's going through enough. She's lost her youngest child, and my heart goes out to her. But I'm wondering, and I guess you would have to find out more information. How was he acting if the sister noticed it and she wasn't in the home? what did the mother notice? And did she truly feel like her daughter was safe around this guy? And I know he had been around for a long time, and he probably initially came in to the relationship loving. I think they said they were together 5 years. So Lauren had to be around 11 at the time that the mother and the suspect got together. So, I mean, I can understand that part. And I know people change, but something had to really be going on with this guy. And I noticed that in the clippings, the neighbor, the young boy who said that he had met Lauren in the 7th grade, he said that the suspect would be in the garage a lot, just staring out into the street. So it makes me wonder, is this guy, was he suffering from some kind of PTSD? Was it some kind of late onset mental disorder? I don't know. But something definitely had to be going on with this guy for him to, I mean, I want to believe that's the issue, because you just think that someone who doesn't display this kind of behavior, for them all of a sudden to just behave in a matter that's not becoming of them, it makes you wonder, was there a head injury? And believe me, I'm not trying to make any excuses for this guy. He deserves everything that he's going to get. I'm with the sister. He deserves the death penalty, in my opinion, if he's found guilty, because right now it's alleged. But as we know, I mean, he was coming out the house saying, do what you're going to do. So, but, you know, I had to put that in. So, again, this story it breaks my heart, because as I search for stories and I do research, there's so many stories about young children being killed by their parent, one of the parents, or a step parent, or a boyfriend or girlfriend. And if you watch my videos for a long time, you will know that I've always speak about how I have such empathy for young children, especially young children who are abused or murdered. Like, that breaks my heart. And probably because there's some personal issues there as well. But one day, maybe I'll talk about it, about why I started doing these true crime stories. And it was because I was affected by a personal story. I lost a stepdaughter to murder. So, yeah, maybe one day I plan to do her story. But right now, it's kind of still, still a sore spot. So, moving on, I just wanted to end the video saying that my heart goes out to Lauren's family, her friends. This young girl had her whole life ahead of her. She was going to the Air Force. And I am a military. I spoke about that as well. I've been in the military before. And going in at the time that she's 18, 19 and stuff, it has a lot to offer. Especially at the time that I went in. Right now, the military is kind of up and down with it. But, I mean, this is what Lauren wanted to do. She had plans. So this shows that this young lady was all about living her life to her fullest. And to lose her life to such a senseless crime, it's really sad. Really, really sad. I'm just going to end the video saying that I will keep you guys updated on this story. I'm sure that as time go by and the suspect goes to trial, that more information about this story will definitely come out. Thank you so much for watching.